Hey, it's Amy Milstick again with Deschooling 101. You are doing a fabulous job with getting ready for a peaceful transition from public school to homeschool. Deschooling can be such a marvelous opportunity for your family to reconnect, rediscover the joy of learning, and just set the stage for a custom learning atmosphere at home. So, as we're working through this process and getting you ready to really rock deschooling, it can be helpful to have plans and preparations in place. Now, we talked about in the guide different types and styles of deschooling. You might say, well, we are just totally going freestyle. We are no plans, no commitments. We're going to wake up and just whatever happens. That is awesome. I will still encourage you, though, to help you stay firm in that decision to write down those goals. So I have some, in the printable section here, plans and prep. Your goals for your deschooling experience. And that might be we have no plans, nothing. But write that down. That will help you. When you write something down, there's a commitment there. You're putting it out there into the world, and you are saying this, you're declaring what you're doing, and that helps to solidify that commitment. So write that down. You can decide if you have a start date for deschooling and a tentative end date. You can leave that open and do what you feel works for you and your family, and that's totally cool. You can just ignore this section, or you can write that down if that helps you deal. Sometimes people find that having a start date and an end date helps them feel better about the process, because it's like having that open-ended type of deschooling feels scary. And so it's perfectly fine to have an end date if that helps you feel better about the process. You might want to make some measurable steps to reach goals. Again, this goes back to if you have specific goals that you want to achieve. Let's say that your kids have, expressed some anxiety in terms of when they were in public school, and you really want to help them overcome some of those fears and worries and concerns during the deschooling process before you start homeschooling. You might want to write down some measurable steps to help your kids overcome that. So, for example, maybe your kids are afraid to pick out books on their own that they want to read. They, for whatever reason, have gotten a mentality, a mindset that they aren't allowed to do that. They need to have somebody else select what they're supposed to read, how long. They're used to being told what to do and when. You might write that down of measurable steps of, we're going to go to the library once a week, and the first time, just introduce your child to the different sections of the library and what's available. The second time might be talking about different interests and what they might like to read about. The third might be going to that section in the library, that favorite interest section, and going over the titles with them and helping them feel okay with selecting a book that they would like to read. Coming home with that book and reading for however long that they would like to. That's just an example of how you can set measurable steps to reach goals, and you can get much more specific with that, and that can be very helpful too. And then you might want to write down your personal definition and any reminders that you might need as you're going through your deschooling process and making your plans. I have a very open-ended sheet here with just 4 different sections for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, if you decide to deschool that long. And this could be just general bucket list ideas of things that you might like to do the first week, second week, just things that you might like to do as a family that you didn't have the opportunity to do while your kids were in public school. Fun field trips, projects might go in here. Whatever it is that you might like to plan out, this is just a format that you might like to use to plan. Also, Deschooling is a great time to really just open up and have fun with your kids. Playing games, doing some activities and projects that, like I said, you didn't have time to do when they were in public school. And it can be very exciting, and you might want to go out and spend some money on getting some really cool and fun things to do with your kids. And if you have that in your budget, all right, that's pretty cool. But you might not. And you might be wanting to save some of that and just to see what is going to transpire in your deschooling experience and how that might lead to some homeschooling adventures. So, if you'd like to be a little bit more conservative in nature and save some money, I encourage you to take an inventory of what it is that you have already in your home that your kids can use and you can use with them. So the games that you guys have that you think might be helpful in helping with the deschooling experience. That could be completely fun game, nothing to do with learning, or maybe a little bit more like Scrabble or something, or maybe even Monopoly with money, something like that, but just games that you have on hand already that you can use. Movies that you have that you'd like to watch with your kids. Especially movies that might involve kids overcoming obstacles or struggles, dealing with changes, can be very helpful during this time. You might want to take some field trips with your kids, and there's a section for that there. And by field trips, that can be anywhere from going to the zoo to going to the museum. Books that you might want to read, crafts you might want to do, and projects that you might want to undertake. All of this you can write down, and if you already have that inventory, here comes one of my little helpers. You can use that as well. So I invite you to take an inventory of what you have and use that, and that can also help you see what you might like to go out and get to have at your disposal. So I think that it's very helpful to have an inventory and idea of what you already have in your home that you can use during deschooling. And that can really help too when the kids might say, I don't know what to do, I'm bored, I have no idea, I'm just, and you're maybe busy washing the dishes or doing another chore or errand, and you can say, okay, well, we have this book. Would you like to read that? Because some kid, especially when you're going through deschooling and coming from public school to homeschool, a lot of kids have a hard time figuring out how to use their free time, how to use time, unstructured time. And in my opinion, it's perfectly fine to provide them with an option. Would you like to read this book or do this game? Would you like to play this activity or do this craft? Helping them in this process and helping them learn to make decisions on their own, giving them an option can be extremely helpful, and having a list of things that you already have on hand can help you do that when you're busy and you're just doing life. So if you have any questions, please leave them on the page here, and you can always email me at rockyourhomeschool@gmail.com.